Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Podcasting Mastered. I'm Chelsea, and I'm here with Wade as always. And we are back with another movie review. This movie was a very big movie last year, and we are finally getting around to talking about it. No, it's not Oppenheimer. It's Barbie.
It's the better one. It's the better one.
Yes,
Come at me,
fair.
folks.
No.
Come at me.
No. 100% agree. The better of the two.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about Barbie.
And hopefully by now you've seen this movie or have access to go watch it, because you might want to go watch it by the end of this review. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And because you can currently stream it on Max. It's one of the places you can check it out. And also, I think they're, at least at the time of recording this episode, they're doing like some little releases in like your theaters. Maybe your area might be showing it again because of award season, Oscar season, because of the nominations. So they want more people to see it. But yeah, I think it's worth it to watch. You know, it's just like right around that 2-hour mark. You know, some of these other movies that have come out recently. Also, it's shorter than Oppenheimer. So there you go.
And that's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's just dive into this movie.
Happily.
Okay, so what was your initial thoughts when you heard this movie was happening?
Well, like immediately I was just like, I just thought it was kind of like one of those trend things, like, oh, we're making movies on this, that, and the other. Like, what could a Barbie movie, like, I mean, there's a million Barbie movies already, right? Like animated ones and stuff. Like, why do we need a live action one? But then like not 5 minutes later when I was like reading into like the announcement of the movie, and it was supposed to be like this whole thing and not just a live action Barbie movie, you know. It was this thing, and I was like immediately very interested. Like I'd watch this. And then I did watch this, but I was saying for quite a while, like, I'll go watch this one for sure.
Yeah, for me, I was like, yeah, they're just making movies on everything. We're just making live action remakes or live action on this or that. You know, we already had that Rock'em Sock'em Robots basically movie with Hugh Jackman years ago. Of course, we're gonna get around to
I forgot about that. Was that like
Steel?
Real Steel?
Yes.
Oh God. Ugh. Pass.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that movie. But then there was like Barbie. Okay. And then like when there was more information about the movie when Greta Gerwig signed up for it, directing with like co-writing it. I'm like, surely this will be good, but I was still a little hesitant. I'm like, I do want to see this movie. This movie is getting super hyped up. Like, is this movie going to live up to any type of crazy expectations? Like, or is this going to be like, they lied to us. It's just a movie that didn't need
It's nothing
to exist.
but Like Battleship.
Oh, yeah. There's another one. There you go.
For sure.
No, this movie, wow.
It stands apart from any of those kinds of things, like, completely.
Yeah. Like, it really tries so hard because another thing, too, okay, I don't know, another little side step, I guess, almost, is, like, I was never really that much of a fan of Barbies growing up. Like, I had Barbies, like, I kind of played with my sisters, but it was always something I found boring, but, like, I knew that Barbies were, like, a thing. Like, did you ever have, like, growing up, like, your sisters or anybody have Barbies? Did you ever?
Well, yes, we had Barbies at home, and I did play with them because in my household, we had to share toys a lot.
Yeah.
And there was lots of hand-me-down toys, and there being 2 girls and 1 boy, I had to play with girls' toys a lot, especially at the earlier ages, which my mom did not push the whole, like, that toys for girls, that toys for... We didn't have that thing, because, again, she didn't want me whining that I didn't have toys, when we had all sorts of toys, just not toys that people were like, oh, those are boys' toys. So I played with Barbies a little bit growing up, but I had them in the same respect that I had, like action figures and stuff like that, too. I played with them both together, so...
So just that familiarity, but understand, like, this was a thing that, we grew up with, and even though Barbie's been around for, like, way before we even existed, so...
Way before.
Yeah.
Students who are watching, way before. Like, I'm talking, like, what, 40 years before? Like, a long time before us.
Yeah. At least, like, no. We're not that old. Our parents played with Barbies growing up. But anyway, so... Barbie's been in pop culture, like, we're clearly familiar with that. That's also another little, I don't know, point to make with that. And because, like, I grew up with Barbies and stuff, like, I knew a little bit about, like, you know, the different, like, the airplane or, like, the different, like, toys and stuff. But, like, this movie just took it all and said, we are wanting to just show you everything.
It was literally like Barbie pop culture vomit.
Yes.
Showcase everything that you possibly can.
which works really well with some parts of the story too, where we see like the rejects at time. We'll cover the story briefly, but also like Skipper, I think it was a pregnant Skipper, the random limited edition characters, or like, you know, dolls that they were like, that doesn't sound right. But those things actually existed. They weren't just for like comedic effect in this movie. It's wild. The amount of detail in this movie is just incredible. It's one of those movies too where I think the more you watch it, the more you'll notice like how much love and care they put into this movie.
Oh yes, there's a lot of humor in the movie. There's a lot of like self-deprecating humor too, like on the Barbie and Mattel brand, but none of it is made out of like spite or hatefulness or just for the sake of making a joke. It's you can tell it's all made out of love.
Yeah. And so you have that going on, but you actually have a story, and it's not just a like simple one note story. Like we see a lot of development from all the characters, lots of crazy things. Like Barbie may be the main character, but is she really the main character? Like we just follow a lot of different characters. So I mean,
Barbie's the main character, but the whole point of the movie partly was how important is Barbie? Like in the grand scheme of like Barbie Land and the grand scheme of the world, like how important is Barbie? Where does she fit into everything?
Yeah, it's all more deals with too, like everything's connected to Barbie, but like individuality is an important thing. Finding who you are, and like, yeah, one thing doesn't solely represent one thing, and just
there's a lot of like existentialism. Like this is basically existentialism, the movie, like
yes,
and like modern existentialism too, not not throwback psychological stuff, like current, very modern talking points. Like this is an important movie for people to watch. That's how when I left the theater, that's how I felt. This is a movie to be watched by everybody.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you identify, it's for everybody because there's a lot to think about for anybody who's sitting there.
Yeah. That's totally true. Yeah. This is a movie too where I almost felt like, I wanted to give it a standing ovation just throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, it's taking something so simple, something just like so eye roll worthy initially about, it's a Barbie movie. What are they going to do? And then it's just, no, like you're so right.
It's going to make you question your very life.
Yeah. It's relatable. Anybody will, question your own life after watching this movie. But I guess we could do a little brief synopsis for those who haven't seen it or hopefully will watch it.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult. It's not that like on the surface, it's not that complicated of a movie. It's just when you dig into the meaning of everything. Oh Lord, there's a lot. We don't have podcast space for that.
We'll probably cover just a little bit of it. Yeah,
just a teensy bit, teensy bit.
Yeah, I mean, because it starts out, Barbie is living, in Barbie Land. Barbie rules everything. Barbie is the name of all Barbies. You have a couple of the like side character friends that are, Ken, Skipper, stuff like that, but
Alan.
Yes, Alan.
Midge?
Yes. Yep. Okay, side note, Alan. Oh no, we'll wait. I'll get to the actors later. I was like, no. I was like, we'll save
hold
that.
Hold on.
Yes, hold on.
But no, so we get the picture of what it's like to live in Barbie Land, which is just perfection all the time.
Just the
perfect.
party.
Like they don't eat or drink. They have their individual jobs, and then they party, they have a good time, and then the next day we do it all again.
Yep, but then there starts to be some cracks, some things, which you see with
some
like
flat feet, if you will.
Oh my gosh. Perfect for that. That was so funny. And just then going on a journey between the real world and the Barbie world. So we see that mixing in with Mattel as a company to also a mother-daughter relationship.
Which was just perfect.
Yes.
Absolutely perfect. That Mattel was like, you know what, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Which they said, I saw in the interview, like Margot and Greta were actually extremely nervous when they went to have a meeting with Mattel. They said we would like this is our plan for Barbie, but like this is also our plan for Mattel? ?
Yeah, no, it's amazing when you really think about that, like that they got the go ahead on this movie and that Mattel put their name on this movie as well. Like, I think that's great. It also shows that people, can have the idea of like kind of making fun of themselves, but also like covering these bigger issues and allowing you to just think about a deeper meaning. So, like I said, you get a little bit of everything. You find out like Barbie discovers who Barbie is as a person. question mark slash doll to what is Ken's place in the world to the idea of the real world with people with real issues like a mother and daughter trying to figure out who they are, their relationship, as well as who they are individually. Like, this is, yes,
because and it's a big hit to Barbie to see the real world, because in Barbie Land they think that the creation of Barbie has basically solved all the world's problems as far as like equality and stuff goes. Like in Barbie Land, it's a pure matriarchy, you know, but they think that in the real world it's very 50-50, you know, where somebody's gender does not assign them a place in society. So when they get there and Barbie and Ken from the second they get there, Barbie and Ken start to have very different experiences in the real world. Like, like the very, very beginning of it, like when they're rollerblading through, you know, the area, and like they're both getting like catcalled and stuff. But Barbie is like,
I'm uncomfortable. Like, what?
I'm having all of these uncomfortable moments, and Ken is just like, oh my god!
It's like I'm getting noticed. I love
like
this.
I'm getting
like,
noticed.
I don't care.
I love
like,
this. This is great.
Yeah.
And that it's kind of, it continues for a little bit. They both kind of start to see each side. Like, this is how men are in the real world. This is how women are portrayed in the real world.
And because they've had those experiences stuff, then they try to bring those back into Barbie Land, and that causes all kinds of things. Causes many existential crises by so many different characters.
Oh yes, that's where like the meat of the movie really comes in.
Yes,
because you know Ken goes back to Barbie Land early. He studied the patriarchy.
Yes,
and what men are supposed to be in horses. Sorry, and he takes all of those things back to Barbie Land without Barbie, and he starts to change Barbie Land into Ken Land. The kingdom, if you will.
Yes.
So when Barbie finally gets back, like, you know, it's not Barbie Land anymore. She doesn't have her Barbie dream house.
Nope.
She has nothing.
Well, it's no longer a dream house. It's a what?
Mojo Dojo Casa house.
Yes. Which also, that whole scene's really fun and interesting too, because like you have like the real world, like the mother-daughter, and they're able to travel to Barbie Land, because it was like, well, Barbie and Ken and everybody else can travel to the real world. Well, it works the other way as well. And so it becomes, it's just interesting to taking like the learnings or whatever for Barbie and Ken in the real world back to Barbie Land that is now in the process of becoming, the Kendom or whatever it is. And then having the humans there and also using it as a place for them to work out their relationship and working out what it means to
be a woman and stuff like that, which is like the key to it all, right? To saving Barbie Land, the realization that this is what it means to be a woman in like modern times. They have to free Barbie Land from the Kens, which they find is not terribly difficult.
No.
So, but like the ending scenes are so good in a variety of different ways. Wow. You get the fun things where like the Barbies are like infiltrating and like, you know, unbrainwashing the women and stuff like that. But then you have their plan going into action. You see all the Kens like breaking apart over each other and stuff like that, fighting each other. You get the magnificent
all of
musical
that is
scene,
amazing.
Where the Kens are fighting each other, and it's all like it's like silly fighting, but then it evolves into like interpretive dance.
Yes,
and it's so like it's such a modern way of looking at things, and I love like artistically, I loved that. And before it brings it right back down to like the pop standard, you know, I like that a lot. And then the ending comes in, and it's very like extremely grounding. Like,
yes,
we've done all these fun, silly things. Let's settle in and get to the core of the problem here. And you just like want to cry for 30 minutes. Ugh.
Yeah. No, it's crazy the way that like this movie hits emotionally too. Like, and it hits like all the like, and it has those moments where you like it doesn't try to like bring you down like constantly. That's why you have all these little like lighthearted quips, these awesome dance numbers, battles and stuff, and that's
such a thing that people. It's what happened a lot of, but like the point of the movie was not to make anybody feel bad about how the world is, about how they themselves are like quote unquote supposed to be portrayed in the real world. It's not to make anybody feel bad. It's empowering for everybody And that is not how everybody took it.
Mm-mm.
Which really, I think that's a sign to be reflective on yourself, and you know, how can I do things differently, stuff like that. But like as a man, as a gay man first, I guess, but as a man, never once did I sit in Barbie and become uncomfortable. Because of like how men were portrayed in the patriarchy stuff and things like that. I never felt uncomfortable because I was like, yeah, like for sure. Now, as a gay man, that's a whole other thing. Like, right, because gay men can sometimes, but don't necessarily fall into that patriarchal. They're like the Allens in the situation. Not 100%. I hate putting people in any kind of box, but there are gay men who do have extremely masculine roles about themselves, and like, you know, they believe in the patriarchy. There are men who are very condescending, gay men that are condescending like that, but I think those numbers are much fewer than overall.
Yeah, like we're saying with Alan, because Alan just like kind of just like works together with like everyone, and he has that place where he's
like he's part of the Kins because he's a boy, and he's Kin's best friend, you know.
Yeah,
but he sees a society where they all win. You know, it's not about Ken versus Barbie. It's about, can we just get things back to how they're supposed to be? Because that's how things should be, kind of situation. The betterment for everybody.
Yeah, because it's, like you said, it's a movie that like anybody can watch, and there's a lot of feelings involved too. I think it's just people need to, like, in general, I think, try to forget, like, you know, yes, it's a Barbie movie, but because it's about Barbie, but it's also about so much more else, and just like coming to it with an open mind.
Barbie's the vehicle for a lot of self-reflections and perspectives and things like that.
Yeah. Which I think was so amazing in general watching this movie, because it was just like, I have high expectations this movie will do something different or something interesting, but like just seeing how it all plays out, and I think it just does such a good job. Also, I think what really adds to this movie too, which gives you those moments of like, that adds to the actual like comedic elements, or those moments where yes, you get really introspective, it's just because of like the cast. Like, they picked a really great cast for this film.
This movie only worked because the cast, they were self-involved in the creation of their characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I could not imagine a Barbie movie without Margot Robbie.
Oh my gosh, no.
Or Ryan Gosling. Or even Michael Cera. Like,
oh my gosh, I loved this. I loved him in this movie. Like, I was like, wow, this role is... I mean, also with Will Ferrell as a CEO, like...
Even with Will Ferrell.
Like, wow. And then I love America Ferrera, so I was actually really surprised to see her in this movie, because I didn't quite know she was... I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I love this.
And it was a surprise to me too. I knew she was in the movie, but I thought she was a Barbie, because that's kind of how she was portrayed, like in the promotion materials. But then I forgot about it when I watched it. So when you see her and she's like, oh, she's the human mom. Like, oh my God, like, okay. And she ruled this movie too, like... Jesus.
Oh my gosh. But like everybody, Kate McKinnon, the perfect role.
God.
Weird Barbie. Oh my gosh. Like
oh, weird Barbie. You love her so much.
Oh my
but I also just love Kate McKinnon too. Like, she just played herself.
No, she's great in everything. It just always puts a smile on my face when she pops up somewhere in anything.
Oh, so yeah. Oh, yeah.
We also had Issa Rae as President Barbie.
Oh my gosh. Sure. Perfect.
Love that. I mean, like, I think there's probably other people that I'm totally forgetting that were in this movie, but
there was a lot of people. Was it Dua Lipa?
Oh yes.
Was she's a mermaid, right?
I think so.
I think that was her, right? I think.
Yes, no, she was in that movie. And then we have Simu. He's also one of the Kens.
Oh, of course. He's like the rival Ken.
Loved it.
But there's a bunch of other Kens who are like also like pretty big name actors that take either Ken's side or Ken's side. Yeah. Which they had so many good actors for Ken, when it was like almost every single Ken could have just been played by some dude. You know? Because stereotypic Ken, beach Ken, however you want to label him, he's the only one I think who, like, mattered, ? But there were so many side Kens that were, like, portrayed by all of these bigger actors too, and the role that they play is not that, besides just being there.
Yeah. And I think what's also interesting with that, what you mentioning, like, you know, of just having like super stereotypical or just like, you know, whatever, but having these interesting people play all these characters is that like we just listed out quite a few bigger name people that were in this movie. Like, I mean, they all don't look the same. Like, it's just showing that like Barbie and Ken like are representative of like everyone. There's lots of Barbies, but like they all do different things. It just, you know, not everybody's the same, and not like, but we have like, you know, Margot Robbie is the stereotypical Barbie, which is the whole branching off, which we also deal with that about like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean for her? But also that Barbie is just Barbie, and we have all these fun other Barbies, all these other people playing Barbies doing all these different things. We have, like you said, all these Ken trying to figure out who they are, and not everybody is, which I think was also great. And I think it also helped too that this movie wasn't like completely CGI'd and we just had like clones of like just Margot Robbie and
like... Oh my gosh, for real.
Yeah. I mean, like, it probably would have worked, but it would have been a very different movie, but just...
It would have been a very different movie.
Yeah.
A lot of personalities, considering they're, like, basically playing a variation of the same person, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, everybody shines in their roles. Mm-hmm. Because Ryan Gosling, I think, I keep trying to think of, because I've, like, heard some, like, different people who almost played, like, the main Ken and stuff.
Oh,
and it's kind
yeah,
of crazy.
for sure.
Like, but I'm like, no, he was perfect, because he made me feel
it had to
that,
be him.
Yeah, that annoyance, but also that, like, cheering for him, but also just like, oh my gosh.
Like, but when Barbie's sitting there and he's like, what am I supposed to do? She's like, ugh, Ken. I'm like, yeah, that's that's how you feel about Ken, like, the whole movie.
Yeah. For real. But no, Margot Robbie also just like completely perfect for that role. Like, and it doesn't even seem like she's acting in some ways, because she's just so effortless in her acting. Like, she is amazing.
She's just, oh my God.
Just owns it.
I watch her in anything. I really would. Mm-hmm. Did you hear what she said, like, recently?
No.
About taking a break from acting because she feels that, like, people are, like, sick of seeing her and everything. Aww. And I'm just like, dude, you've been in, like, 3 things. Don't go nowhere. What are you doing?
I mean, you've just been in projects that you've been killing it. So, I mean, like, yeah they've all come out in the last couple of years. But yeah, no. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, take care of yourself, though, if that's what you want to do. But no, I appreciate her, and it's great. She's been in so many different types of style of roles, too. Like, It's really cool to see her variety in acting. But, so... we both watched this movie, like, we watched this for the first time last year around the time it came out, right? And then we both watched it again recently, I think, to kind of like have more fresh take in our minds. Yeah,
have a recent take on it. But I don't think my take changes at all. I felt extremely strongly about it when it came out. Like, I left that theater house and I was just like, holy crap, like, my brain didn't settle down for forever. I was in tears during parts of it, like... And it was the same thing. I sat here in my living room and watched it by myself, and it was the same. From the get-go, I was still just like, yep, that still hit. Oh, that part hurts. Yep, here we go. Like, everything was right where I left it, basically.
Yeah. No, yeah, like, the first time I saw it, like, I was just like, wow, I was just trying to take in every little thing, like, because there's so much to take in, not even just from, like, the production design, costuming, the characters, the things they say, and just, like, I was surprised that I was able to appreciate it even more the second time, and just being like, wow, it still hits, and also just picking up on some little things.
It was like cozy the second time. You know, everything was new the first time, but the second time it was just like, yeah.
Yeah. I almost felt like I was able to, like, kind of almost slow down a little bit the second time, because it was just like going, trying to like just like soak it all in at once. Not that that's a problem, but it's also just, it's really great to, you know, to have those movies you can watch again and again, or just appreciate that second, third, whatever time watching it, and just, it's a good movie. It makes it a good movie to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, another thing to mention about this movie is really interesting is that, like, with those slower moments and stuff with, like, Barbie, like, going through, like, what it means to be who she is and everything, we see these glimpses where she meets this older woman at different points in the movie.
My gosh. Like the lady sitting on the bench.
Yes.
That's a part that's made me cry twice now. Like, not like bawl or anything. I just get, she's sitting there and the old lady's like reading the newspaper next to her, and she just looks over at her. The old lady looks back, and like Barbie just starts crying. And the lady's just like, what's wrong? And she's like, you're so beautiful. And the lady's just like, I know it.
And I was like, yeah, you
like,
go
oh
there.
My God.
Like, oh my gosh. And then we see her again at the Mattel headquarters and stuff. And like, it's slowly revealed that this other little story going on is that like this person is supposed to be Ruth Handler, the creator of Barbie, one of the like few women CEOs of the company.
Yeah, right.
Stuff, yeah. But having those moments to connect and just having these other conversations, like especially at the end, like wow.
Oh, that conversation with Ruth at the end, like that whole the entire movie leads to that one.
Yes.
Like you can feel it all culminate. Like when they're holding hands and stuff, you can just like feel everything. Just
it's just. And, like, nothing crazy going on in the background. They're just, like, in a simple, like, blank space, just talking to each other. It just draws you in with that, and you'll see what happens at the end. I don't know if we'll talk about the ending. I think the ending probably...
I would leave it. No, yeah. Let's let people discover that. But it was beautiful.
Yes.
Definitely beautiful.
Yes. Is there anything else?
I liked the music a lot.
Ooh.
The soundtrack is pretty. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun soundtrack.
Oh, speaking of the soundtrack, also talking about, like, the narration.
Oh my gosh, who is that? Helen Mirren?
Yes.
Helen Mirren
Perfection.
Narrates the whole movie.
Yes.
One of my favorite parts is in the middle when Barbie is like really breaking down. And America Ferrera is just like, you're gonna be okay, like we're gonna fix things and whatever. And Barbie's like just like crying and she's a mess. She's like, I'm not beautiful. And then the narrator cuts in and she's just like, side note to producers. Margot Robbie is not the actress that you want to make this
part work. I was like, yes. But that just reminded me talking about the music with like, and like, yeah, the narration by Helen Mirren, but also some of the songs are like the kind of twists, like, especially at the beginning of the movie about like commentary.
You get like the Pink Lizzo song, and then you get like the other version of it when Barbie's thoughts and feelings start to shift.
Yes.
K, death.
Yeah. And, yeah, that's just, all those lyrics are just so fun with that. But then you also have like, some other slower, more powerful songs, but also like the fun, like musical numbers. Yeah, you're right. It's a great
the dance scene there at the beginning is absolutely iconic. Like if I'm scrolling and I come across like the actual scene on TikTok, or it's like people doing the dance, I have to watch it. I have to. It's just so smooth and it just fits that moment so perfectly. Oh my gosh.
It's great.
But you know, in the soundtrack is up for some awards, and some of the individual songs are also up for some pretty major awards. So, which I know like Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For has already won a few times. I'm Just Ken has won at least once.
Yes. At this point, yeah.
Which is just fantastic. I know a lot of people wanted I'm Just Ken to win over What Was I Made For. And I can make the argument at any time, because almost always they're like up against each other. And I could argue either way, but I think it's a stronger, I think that What Was I Made For, it is a stronger song. Like
I would agree.
It may not be as fun because it's not supposed to be a fun song like I'm Just Ken is.
But it's like powerful and just
it's the point of the movie. It's the whole it's the musical point. And this second time I've watched it now, listening to the movie soundtrack going through the movie, they work several of the pop songs melodies into the score of the track. The Billie Eilish song is not the only one they do that. The Dua Lipa one for the big dance scene, that's in there all over the movie, all over the place. But the Billie Eilish song is also there. It's harder to pick out. It's much quieter. It's not as in your face as the dance track, but it's there. It's there a lot.
That's really cool. That's just another like extra tidbit to like add more to the movie. It's just to have those like reoccurring little bits and stuff to reinforce some of those scenes and what's going on in the story. And like I said, they're both great songs, but very different vibes and everything. And I think Billie Eilish might win another Oscar. We'll see. Yeah, I
think she might too. We'll see.
Yes. But we'll
see pretty soon.
Yeah, because Barbie, like I said, they've already had a lot of awards shows so far, but this episode will come out before the Oscars, so we know that everybody will be buzzing about it. And if for real, watch it if you haven't already. But I don't know, I'm not sure it'll win all the awards it's up for, but it's definitely deserving.
That's okay. It's fine. It's not a movie that's here to like devastate the awards. It's not, they didn't make the movie to be a piece of art, in a way that a lot of like Oscar movies are. I think anything that they get out of it, I think is just gravy. Yeah.
No, it's just really good to have that recognition and understanding like what went into this movie.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Overall. Yeah, it's incredible. And I think, yeah, there are some of those, specifically with the Oscars, some nominations that didn't get. And I think I don't know. I feel like, we don't always know what's going on behind the scenes with the voting. Like, honestly, some of them could have been super close. Like, there were some movies that, like, we consistently saw in those getting additional nominees and everything. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Because you only get so many nominations. And if I would have made sure that, like, Greta and Margot got put in those categories, because I just couldn't. That's the thing. Like, I think they deserve to be there 110%. I have seen probably very little other movies that are like up for Oscars. So I would have a not unbiased opinion on like why they should be there compared to other ones. It's just that the swing of the pendulum that they caused, like that's the reason I think that things like the Oscars are there for. It's to bring those things to light in such a strong way. But again, I didn't put the things together. I haven't seen the other movies, more than likely anyway. I'm missing out on a lot, but I do feel very passionately about this.
Yeah. Now, I've seen, specifically with the Best Picture nominees, I've seen all of them except for The Zone of Interest. And so it's just interesting to see which ones were nominated for what. Because some of those Best Picture nominations, like, not all of, like, the people starring in those actually got, like... Because, I mean, you only have, like, the 5 for, like, each, like, leads and, like... male, female, and supporting and stuff. And some of those are from other movies, which I did see some of those recently. I'm like, it's crazy because we did have some really big people this year giving some really crazy, powerful performances. And then we also had some people who also weren't recognized, as well as Margot Robbie and stuff like that. And I just think it's hard because you have the 10 for the Best Picture, but then you only have like the 5 for those categories. So people are always getting shorted. But no, it's I think we saw a lot of great performances this year.
Didn't like, I haven't looked at the full list. I'm kind of going off of what I've heard, but didn't like Saltburn like not get really put up for like anything?
That's correct. Specifically with the Oscars, it wasn't nominated for anything this year.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's crazy. But again, I don't typically watch movies that are like meant for the Oscars. Like you cover that base every like year after year.
Yeah.
Like kudos to you for sure. I just watch what I want to watch.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, some of the movies are definitely ones that I want to watch, but it's also just kind of a fun game too, to be like, let me see if I can watch all these.
Yeah,
and then,
absolutely.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. My only thing is, I just hope it was something behind the scenes that we actually had like a really big split between a lot of people, and it just ended up that like somebody just got like an extra couple of votes more, and that's why we didn't see them in the lead for that. But I don't know. At least in our episode right now, we're acknowledging we loved you, Margot Robbie. Excellent in this movie, like Greta Gerwig, excellent directing, like yeah, but do what you need to do for yourself. But yes, we appreciate your acting for sure. But just excellent movie all around.
Oh yes, like it popped up as like a sale movie, like for like Black Friday, and I snatched that thing up so fast. Yep, that's a forever movie right there.
As it should be. Well, I think we covered a little bit of everything. Is there any other final words?
I think we did.
No,
Barbie? I mean, like if you haven't watched it, just go give it a try. Like it's not going to hurt your feelings. It's not there to destroy your life or anything. It's a fun movie with lots of good points and maybe a few tears too.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like just like right under 2 hours, like,
And it goes by fast too. It's a fast watch.
So just, listeners, give it a go. But I think that'll do it for this episode. So thanks so much for listening to this episode, talking all about Barbie. Let us know if you've actually already seen it and what you think about it. What's your favorite part? Who was your favorite little cameo or a sense, or who did you love to see in this movie? Let us know. You can find us all on social media at Pod Demastered, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You can also send us an email at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. We are quickly approaching our 100th official episode, which will be in mid-March.
We are 2 episodes away.
Yeah, so if you have any feedback you want to share with us, things you want us to cover in the future, questions you have for us, we're going to do a Q&A, so anything that you want to ask us, send us our way on our socials, send us to us on an email. We would love to hear from you. And with that, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode, and we hope you tune in to the next one.
See ya.